Okay, let's welcome our audience. Welcome to the Ready, Set, Gemini podcast. I am your host, Dan Mora. Directly across from me,
your co-host, Frank Smithson, over here.
Frank, how are you today?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, had a nice weekend. How about you?
Yeah, doing good. This morning, last Monday, I worked out before this, and it totally drained me. So this morning, I was like, okay, I'm going to not work out, save all my energy for you, Frank.
Oh, I feel so blessed. Yeah, last podcast, I was kind of having it rough too, jumbling my words and whatnot. A little bit of restful weekend is good for the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got any words of wisdom for us?
Yeah, there's this concept that I have been using with all of my direct reports and people that I work with. It's top 5 life commitments. So I have people focus on distilling their top 5 life commitments. And the process is just fantastic. It's amazing to watch people kind of go through a process of revising and considering what their top 5 life commitments are. My words of wisdom is think about that. That is something I think that people could spend a little bit more time with. How it works and lives itself out in your life is have this thesis, and it is that your actions reflect your commitments. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. So I ask people when I first start this, I say, okay, write down your top 5 life commitments. They make their list, and no wrong answers. It could be silly. It could be whatever. What do you think are your top 5 life commitments? It changes over time the more you think about it. So it doesn't really matter really what it is, but it does roll up and consolidate and improve kind of as time goes by. But then I ask the next question is, do your commitments or do your actions reflect your commitments? Mm-hmm. And it's a trap question. So for anybody listening to this, because your actions always reflect your commitments. They always do. So it's a rhetorical question that doesn't, but the answer that I get back is fascinating. Most people say yes, most of the time. Mm-hmm. Do your actions reflect your commitments? Yes. Most of the time. I said, I caught you. So those actions that you don't allocate to what you consider your top 5 commitments, the next question is, we need to talk about those things. And usually they're like leisure or hobby based, that people are like, I don't really feel great about those things in my life. Social media, scrolling, whatever the case may be. And the way that I have to reframe that with people is say, look, these things are, you need to stop kind of feeling guilty or not counting those as things that are important or reflect. They do reflect your commitment, but usually, again, they're leisure. And we have to put those into a bucket that is usually health related, right? We do those things because we need a break. We need a separation. And it's not that those things are wrong, but the guilt comes in is when they're out of balance. And so the focus of those top 5 commitments is to keep those in balance.
For sure. And I know I use this top 5 commitment model. I have a recurring task that pops up on my phone. It just says, where are you at? And take a look at it. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
And are you taking the right actions that you should do?
Yeah.
I feel like it helps. It helps. It also there's always a little bit of guilt that comes with it because, if you have health, mental health and physical health are both part of that. Having a night drinking with the friends, doesn't necessarily add to your physical health. So there's like you said, a balancing act.
Yeah, right? It's mental health. I mean, you have to kind of allocate those things to mental health and say, but is it in balance with the rest? Like, if one of my other top 5 commitments is relationships. Is that action detracting from relationships? Well, maybe not, but what are the other 3 things that you're trying to accomplish in life? Whatever that may be for other people.
Yeah, maybe we should do a podcast specifically on this, like the whole model, because I think it works. Really easy to adopt once you take the time and energy to do it.
Yeah. That'd be fun. We'll I'll have to consider that.
Cool.
So topic today, clean energy. And I found a great article in the SAC-B. It's talking about how SMUD, which is the Sacramento Utilities, the Sacramento Municipal Utility District here in this area, is proposing to capture carbon emissions from natural gas power plant and deposit them underground.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first of its kind in the country. There's a national initiative set forth by the Biden administration to be energy independent or neutral by 2050. And then in California, there is a push to be carbon neutral by 2045. So this is pretty cool idea. This idea of capturing carbon and storing it underground.
There's some concerns with it,
Mm-hmm.
like what happens when you dump billions of pounds of carbon underneath the earth.
Mm-hmm.
From an environmental perspective. I guess there's people that are also challenging this, saying that it's just empowering fossil fuel companies to continue when we should just be stopping them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a company, Calpine Corporation, one of the nation's largest producers of natural gas and geothermal electricity, gave this proposal to SMUD, and would in their proposal, the project completion by January 2027, which would pump half a mile below the Earth's surface the byproduct of natural gas refinement, which is carbon dioxide, I believe, into the Earth, into the Earth.
Seems pretty cool. I mean, obviously, I think it would make sense to try to move forward and test it at a minimum, which is what it sounds like this whole project is about.
Yeah.
They're talking about the Central Valley being the perfect type of rock to hold the carbon because it's porous. Makes me think of other things that could be, in the mix, like the water table.
Yeah.
I know we've been having a shrinking water table for a long time, and these big giant floods that are happening out in the Central Valley are actually helping restore a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
You fill it up with carbon. Does that have any impact on the water type of situation too? There's so many pieces that play. I guess where I'm at, trust the scientists, let them have an opportunity to see what it does. And even after, let's say we're 2050 and we have, renewable sources being the main energy supplier for the United States, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't want to continue to sequester carbon, because we're going to be pumping it out in the atmosphere for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
So how does this impact jobs?
Yeah. So that is that's the next turn here we got. And very interesting. I just pulled up a report from the annual U.S. Energy and Employment Report, and it says strength in clean energy jobs. Pretty fantastic. So it increased from 2020 to 2021. The job growth was 4%, outpacing overall U.S. employment, which climbed at 2.8%. There are 7.5 million jobs in 2020 in energy, 7.8 in 2021, but 40% of those are focused on emissions and reducing carbon footprint, net zero emissions. And President Biden has a net zero emission economy initiative by 2050 that dovetails with his infrastructure bill. So there's $750 million going into coal manufacturing, increasing the coal manufacturing. And I was listening to some program recently that was talking about how we take a lot of our natural resources and we ship them overseas to be refined because we don't have the right infrastructure to refine it. Uranium was one that came up. There's a lot of natural resources that we take out of the ground in America, ship it to China or other countries so that they can refine it, do whatever they need to do.
Ship it back.
And ship it back.
And that seems like it makes a lot of sense. I mean, where we're headed is the United States is in the process of transitioning, whether people like it or not, from fossil fuels to green energy. And I think that one of the biggest concerns that people have with this is what's going to happen to the people that are doing the work.
Yeah.
Right. I know, like with farming, they've been subsidizing farmers for so long. It seems like it would make a lot of sense. And it sounds like they're kind of working towards that, where you have these whole communities that are reliant on some form of fossil fuel, whether it be coal mining, natural gas, oil production. How do you then take that away, but keep people working? Right.
Yeah.
It seems like there's going to need to be a lot of incentivization around getting those people trained up and transitioning to a new job that still can be profitable, right?
The money that's going into the infrastructure build is just insane. So there's a $62 billion from Biden's infrastructure law that's going to the Department of Energy to expand across energy efficiency, reliable, clean, affordable power to Americans. Again, $750 million to manufacturing, and $500 million for clean energy demonstrations on landmines, on mine lands, excuse me, not landmines. So money's getting. This was really. I thought that this was really encouraging. The number of jobs, the job growth in energy in Michigan for electric vehicle. You naturally, of course, the auto industry being in Michigan, the number of new jobs that were created from this these initiatives just is pretty.
That's awesome.
Substantial. Electric vehicle jobs increased by 26.2%. Hybrid electrical vehicle jobs increased 19.7%. Solar energy jobs by 5.4%. Now, again, this is hugely outpacing the job growth outside of
like with the fossil fuel side.
Yeah.
So fossil fuel is shrinking, but their profits are become record. I just was at the pump the other day after my little Safeway card number, and 20%. It was premium fuel, but it was $5.29.
Ooh.
Yeah, seems like we're already at a place where we're normalizing this.
Yeah.
More and more business is going to go where the consumers can save money, I would imagine.
Yeah. This makes me think of my kids. Like, I need to at least let them know that this is a segment. This is a job segment that is only increasing 2.9% for wind energy jobs, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the tech is forever changing.
Yeah.
I was reading some stuff recently on cement, which is one of the worst greenhouse gas producing industries there is, even worse than the fossil fuel industry. A lot of new breakthroughs there. The formula that they use for cement now is way inferior to the structural integrity that they had back in the
2,000 years ago or what have you.
Yeah, over 2,000 years ago, the Greeks and the Romans. And there's some new studies out where there's people producing cement it's like carbon neutral. It's like brand new tech. So there's a lot of things that are going to be changing.
Yeah.
I wonder how clean energy injuries are compared to like a fossil fuel. I know like oil rigs are supposed to be super hardcore. I watch them. They use these like chains, and wrap around things, like get your arm caught in there, chop it off. But I mean, if wind turbines seem like those could be pretty dangerous too. The shipping of those giant blades. And so is there niches out there? Is there people that are like work comp attorneys that are focused specifically on green energy type of lawsuits?
Yeah, well, it's not going. I think that what we're demonstrating, and I was really encouraged to hear this, it's not going anywhere. The unions are really behind they see this coming. They see this coming, so rallying around these new jobs. But you're exactly right. So in California comp, for example, new industries, but we have the same law. same laws, and how are those laws going to be, interpreted and made to directly speak to these new types of industries, new types of jobs.
Interesting.
Here's
another statistic. It says the energy workforce also has a higher concentration of veterans than the U.S. workforce average. 9% versus 6%. It kind of reminds me of, hey, maybe there's some SIBTF opportunities more in the energy sector than other places.
Hey, nice. Yeah. Super interesting, huh?
I know I have solar. PG&E is horrible. I wish I was on SMUD. We had a PG&E bill last summer, $900. That was the trigger. Okay, time to get solar.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Last month, my PG&E gas and electric was $100.
That's fantastic.
So definitely job opportunities there.
Yeah. I think that this is a trend. This is more than a trend. This is happening. So be aware. I'm curious, like, how the attorneys, what do they need to know in order to capture these work injuries from the energy market? I don't know if that changes for them. I know a lot of attorneys focus on particular types of industries and or work groups. You just think about, I mean, we just did a podcast on the heat, and it took, for work injuries to get to a point in the farming community that it just changed, not even 20 years ago,
2005,
to get some things for protection.
It's amazing. I guess it seems like get ahead of it. If you have an opportunity to start understanding these types of fields early, find your niche and carve it out.
Yeah.
Hey, I like to hear from the attorneys. I guess like, subscribe, comment, follow.
Definitely.
Anything else to cover, Dan?
I don't think so. I like this story. This is a good one.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.